All right, before I start, I want you to imagine the sound of the ocean at night. Not the peaceful kind you hear on vacation. I mean the kind that growls, the kind that makes you feel like the water itself is alive and angry. My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 34 years old, and I've been a commercial fisherman for most of my life. My father was a fisherman, and his father before him. The ocean was always home to me. I knew its moods, its smells, the way the air changes right before the weather turns. At least, I thought I did. But that night in the Pacific taught me something I'll never forget. It started like any other long fishing run. I was about 40 miles off the coast, running my small trawler alone. I liked working solo. Less noise, less talking. Just the engine humming beneath my feet and the slow rhythm of the waves slapping against the hull. The sky had been gray all afternoon, thick clouds pressing low over the water, the kind that makes the horizon disappear so the sea and sky blend together. I could smell the storm long before it arrived, that sharp metallic scent in the wind, mixed with the salt. I should have turned back earlier, but fishermen have a bad habit of pushing their luck. By late evening, the wind picked up. The ocean that had been rolling gently started to twist and rise. Waves slapped harder against the boat, spraying cold water across the deck. I remember standing at the wheel watching the radar flicker while rain began to tap against the glass. The engine growled steadily beneath me, but something about the air made my chest feel tight. Then the storm arrived all at once. The wind roared like a freight train, and the rain turned into sheets that slammed into the windows so hard I could barely see 10 feet ahead. The boat lurched violently as a wave hit the side. I grabbed the wheel, trying to stabilize us, but another wave crashed over the bow, flooding the deck with seawater. The whole boat shuddered. That's when I heard the crack, a deep, splintering sound from below. For a second, everything went silent except for the storm. Then the engine sputtered, coughed, and died. The boat drifted sideways as waves slammed against it. I ran down to check the engine compartment, my boots splashing through water that wasn't supposed to be there. The hull had taken damage. A jagged crack near the lower side was letting seawater pour in. My stomach dropped. I grabbed the emergency pump and started working, trying to slow the flooding. But every time I pushed water out, another wave slammed against the hull and forced more inside. Within minutes, the boat began to tilt. I climbed back onto the deck as lightning flashed across the sky. That's when I saw the damage properly. A massive wave had smashed part of the stern railing and cracked the outer frame. The boat wasn't sinking yet, but it was crippled. I was alone, in the middle of the ocean, in a storm. For the next hour, I fought just to keep the boat afloat. I tied down loose equipment, sealed what cracks I could, and kept the emergency pump running. The storm slowly moved past, but the damage was done. By the time the wind settled, the ocean was still rough and my boat was half flooded. The radio had died with the engine. No signal, no lights, just darkness and endless water. And then something else happened. At first, I didn't notice it. I was sitting on the edge of the broken deck, breathing hard, staring out at the black water while lightning flickered far away on the horizon. That's when I saw the first fin. It cut through the water silently about 30 feet away. My heart skipped. At first I told myself it was a dolphin, but dolphins don't move like that. This fin moved slow, deliberate, slicing through the surface before disappearing beneath the waves. Then another fin appeared on the opposite side of the boat. Then another. The water around me suddenly felt alive. I leaned over the edge carefully, squinting into the dark water below. That's when a massive, pale shape passed beneath the surface. My blood turned cold. Great white sharks, not one, several. They circled the crippled boat slowly like they had all the time in the world. I knew exactly why they were here. Storms churn the ocean. Injured fish, debris, blood from broken nets. It attracts predators. and now my damaged boat was sitting in the middle of it, like a wounded animal. The fins kept appearing and disappearing around me. I counted 3, maybe 4. My breathing got shallow. Great whites don't usually attack boats, but they investigate, and sometimes they test things with their mouths. I stayed perfectly still. The ocean went eerily quiet, except for the soft slap of waves against the hull. Then something bumped the boat, hard. The entire deck shifted under my feet. I grabbed the railing. Another bump came from beneath. A giant white shape rolled just below the surface, and I saw a mouth open briefly in the dark water. Rows of teeth flashed in the lightning. The shark rammed the hull again, this time harder. The boat rocked violently, nearly throwing me into the water. Adrenaline exploded through my body. If that shark knocked me off the boat, I wouldn't last 5 seconds. I scrambled across the deck and grabbed the only weapon I had nearby, a metal gaff hook. It's normally used for hauling big fish on board, but right now, it was the only thing between me and the ocean. Another shark surfaced beside the boat. Its dorsal fin was enormous, easily 6 feet long. The creature moved slowly, its gray body gliding beneath the surface like a submarine. Then suddenly, the water erupted. A massive great white launched upward and slammed its head against the side of the boat. The impact knocked me flat on the deck. The entire vessel tilted violently. Water splashed over the sides. I scrambled to my feet just as the shark circled again. My mind was racing. Sharks are attracted to splashing, vibration, struggling prey. I needed to stay calm. I grabbed a loose crate of fish that had spilled during the storm. With shaking hands, I dragged it to the opposite side of the boat. Another fin sliced through the water near me, too close, so I kicked the crate overboard. Fish spilled into the ocean. Instantly, the water exploded with movement. The sharks rushed toward the floating fish, thrashing violently. That bought me time, but not much, because the largest shark wasn't interested in the fish. It stayed near the boat, watching. I could see its massive shadow circling slowly beneath me. Then the boat shifted again. The damaged hull groaned as water continued leaking inside. If the boat sank, I was finished. So I made a decision that still sounds crazy when I think about it. I grabbed a coil of thick rope and tied one end to the engine mount. Then I looped the other end around my waist. If I got knocked overboard, the rope might give me one chance to climb back. The big shark returned. I saw its pale belly flash beneath the surface as it turned. Then suddenly it surged upward. Its massive head smashed against the side of the boat again. Crack! Wood splintered, the hull opened wider. Water rushed inside. I fell to my knees as the boat tilted sharply. The shark's enormous body rolled beside the deck, its mouth opening wide as it bit into the broken edge of the hull. Teeth sank into the wood like knives. That's when pure instinct took over. I ran forward and drove the metal gaff hook straight down into the shark's snout. The point hit hard flesh. The shark thrashed violently. Water exploded everywhere. Its tail slammed the side of the boat so hard the entire vessel shook. For a terrifying second, I thought it would flip us completely, but then the shark released the hull and dove back into the dark water. My arms were shaking so badly I could barely hold the hook. Blood spread into the water from the wound on the shark's nose. And that's when the circling behavior changed. The other sharks moved faster now. The water churned with movement. I had made the situation worse, much worse. The smell of blood had turned the ocean into a feeding frenzy. The sharks slammed into each other, trying to reach the injured one. Massive bodies crashed against the hull. The boat rocked wildly as teeth tore into the floating fish, and the wounded shark lashed through the water. In the chaos, the damaged boat slowly drifted away from the center of the frenzy. Minutes passed that felt like hours. Eventually, the water grew calmer. The sharks moved away, probably chasing the scent trail of blood farther into the open sea. I stayed frozen on the deck, barely breathing. The ocean went quiet again, just the sound of small waves tapping against the broken hull. I sat there until the sky slowly began to lighten with dawn. Hours later, a cargo vessel spotted my emergency flare and pulled me out of that nightmare. When the crew hauled me aboard, one of them looked at my destroyed boat drifting behind us and just shook his head. He said, "You're lucky to be alive." And he was right, because the ocean doesn't care how experienced you are. It doesn't care how strong you think you are. Out there, you're just another fragile creature floating on the surface of a world ruled by things far older and far more powerful than us. That night taught me the most important survival lesson of my life. Respect the ocean, because the moment you forget how dangerous it is, that's the moment it reminds you.